Hey, what's up, guys? This is T-Bone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Auto Chess Mobile. Now, I haven't uploaded a video in a while, but I have kept playing. This is currently a Rook lobby, and we are in Season 3 of Auto Chess now. So it's been out for a while, and there's been a lot of changes, and I do want to talk a little bit about the change themselves, also just, the overall gameplay here. Now, you notice that I actually had sold a Hell Knight earlier in favor of getting 2 Skybreakers and 2 Soulbreakers. Goblins are really good, especially if you can get them to 2-star early, so that it gives you a higher chance of defeating your opponents in the early game. And if you have pairs, then it increases the chances of you getting a 2-star earlier on. In this case, I was able to get the 2-star Soulbreaker. Now, personally, I really like having the God of War in my team, in my comp, just because I think that he opens up a lot of doors to pretty good compositions, and it's a really good tank to absorb a lot of the damage up front. And so from here, I could go with a Divinity Mage, or I could actually go into Assassins. So I picked up both, the Water Spirit as well as the Source. So we're now in round 4, and we're up against, a warrior team with a 2-star Red X Chief. But we were able to actually defeat it with my 2-star Soulbreaker, because his ultimate skill actually is pretty powerful, and he used it against the Red X Chief, which was really good timing. And so the goal here is to try to win as much as we can. Obviously, we're trying to build a streak, a winning streak. I prefer winning streaking rather than lose streaking. And once I saw the 3rd goblin in the shop, I decided to go for it, and I put a Magica crystal on the Heaven Bomber, because it really needs to have a Magica crystal like mana creation to be effective. Like it just generates the mana too slowly. But having 3 goblins means I get additional armor and also the health regeneration, which could be helpful in the early rounds as well. So I decided to put him in there, and also put in the God of War, even though it does mean I lose the Divinity bonus. Just additional tankiness of God of War would help here. So I was able to win the 2nd round here, and then in round 6, this is where I have a power boost here with a 2-star God of War and a 2-star Skybreaker, as well as a 2-star Soulbreaker. So we're getting really lucky here. And then at this point, I thought, at first I was picking up both the Abyssal Guard and also the Abyssal Crawler here to try to get both a Warrior bonus as well as potentially a Marine bonus to prevent, basically to help guard against mages. But having that boost with both the God of War as well as the Skybreaker, I thought it wasn't really necessary anymore, so then I did end up selling the Abyssal Guard there. And I did keep my options open for Assassins, so you can see I did keep the Abyssal Crawler, and with the Water Spirit there, I could actually go with a 3 Assassin bonus here. The nice thing about the Assassin bonus paired with a Divinity bonus is that while you really are hoping to use the critical hits from your Assassins in the Assassin build, some of them have good crowd control abilities as well, such as Lord of Sand, and also the Water Spirit just has a really good sort of that line damage where it goes through a path of enemies and deals damage to all of them. And so the more often you can have your units do that, the better, and this is where the Divinity bonus really comes in. So I decided to take off the Heaven Bomber here so that I could keep the Assassin bonus and also the Divinity bonus there, so that I have the Lord of Sands and also the Water Spirit to really take out the backline. And you can see that as they use their skills, I'm also getting them stunned, and the Water Spirit actually ends up taking out that last unit there. So in combination, they actually work really well here. So I do have the start of a relatively good Assassin build here, but remember, like one of the things I wanted to do was I don't want to just go all in here. If I could at this point decide to go with the Assassins, because that wouldn't be a bad build either. In fact, a Assassin build allows you to allows you to expand actually relatively quickly. You could go up to level 7 and basically just keep with God of War and also 6 assassins. You can see in this shop, I actually can get a Shadow Crawler. So Shadow Crawler is a really good assassin unit, actually. It's one of the core units for assassin build. But I think at this point, I was a little conflicted on whether I wanted to commit to a 6 assassin build, despite the fact that I have currently 3 assassins on the board with 1 on the bench. So if I did get a Shadow Crawler, that actually would give me 5 assassins, so that I have a chance to get to 6 assassins relatively quickly and then build from there. Now that was an option that I had as well, but I just didn't think that that was a comp that I wanted to run. I'm not really. I haven't played a lot of assassins actually, and one of the things I wanted to keep myself open with was to see what other options I may have. I didn't want to just commit into it right away, and so in retrospect, I think I could have gotten the Shadow Crawler first and then make that decision. But during that time, I just decided to hold off. And now in round 9, I had extra gold. And so I decided to basically, push the level because I am currently still on a win streak. So I wanted to keep that win streak. And I felt that having the Goblin bonus for extra armor along with the 3 assassins right now would actually be a better team for maintaining that win streak. Because I wanted to go into round 10 maintaining the streak so that regardless of the outcome, I would gain the additional gold. Now, I was up against the Warrior Hunter build, and this is actually a little closer than I would have liked, but I managed to stay alive. I think if I didn't push the level there, I actually would have lost. I was glad to have done that. And now we're into the creep round, and I have options to level up Ripper and also additional opportunities to push my God of War towards 3-star. I also get a pair of Shining Dragon here. So this is really where I thought I'm going to probably commit to a Mage build over an Assassin's build at this point. That's what's going on in my head. And what I wanted to do was I still kept my pairs of Ripper as well as Heaven Bomber, just because they will help me with the damage that I need while I wait for my Mage to come online. You'll notice that I don't actually put my Mages in just yet. I generally like to wait until I have at least 3 Mages before I put them in, because they're not going to be as powerful unless you have maybe the Flaming Wizard to begin with, which can give you that nice burst damage. But a 1-star Shining Dragon isn't going to help a lot, and the Source definitely wouldn't help. Now, I found the Grand Herald in round 11. This is absolutely one of the most game-changing units, I would say, in the current meta. So this is also a Divinity unit. And so now I have 2 Divinity units on the board. And so this also helps my current team. So it does help the Skybreaker, and also it would help all of my assassin units. But now that I've gotten the Grand Herald, the decision actually was relatively easy for me to basically move toward the Mage composition. And so at this point, I decided to make some space, and I just decided to sell off all my goblins so I can get up to 30 gold. So I wanted to use the win streak, which gives me 3 additional gold every turn, and also getting the additional interest. So now I also found my my Thunder Spirit. So these are the 3 Mage units that make up this comp that I like using, which is a Shining Dragon, the Source, and also the Thunder Spirit. And so here I also make the Heaven's Gift, which is a combination of the axe as well as the shield, so that you could combine them, and it will give you additional health and also some armor to protect against damage in a 3-grid area. It's a really good item for God of War. With God of War, you want to push its health as high as possible, and any other units that can give you additional armor and also just additional protection against damage. So he's going to be your frontline tank, and you definitely want to invest in that as well. And so some of the other units that can help here, I also picked up the Soul Reaper and also the Desperate Doctor. The Soul Reaper and Desperate Doctor, they will give me Warlock bonus, which isn't that necessary in a Mage comp, but the thing is a 2-star Desperate Doctor in a Mage build can work really well because he can also give stun to help control the crowd. And in a in a Mage build, it could work. I also wanted to protect my win streak here, so you notice I actually pushed to level 7. The idea here is we're in round 13, and with a couple of rounds to go, I could go into the creep round. If I could protect my win, then I could gain additional gold there. That's additional 9 gold in 3 rounds. Unfortunately, this actually didn't work out in this particular case. You can see here I couldn't actually take out the goblin sniper there, and unfortunately he's one that picked off the rest of the team afterwards. And so I did lose my streak there, and I lost some gold. So that was actually not a great spot for me to be in. And now looking at the teams here, this is where I decide to open up the space. So I took out the water spirit, so I decided to go away from the Assassin's build right there, and also because I needed the space for the additional God of War. God of War at 3-star is really helpful unit to have, especially in this type of composition where I don't really have any other tanks. And I still kept my Skybreaker in the build right now, just because you can see in the Skybreaker and also my Soulbreaker, both of them are currently still in the top in terms of the damage output. But you can see there that my Skybreaker starts to fall off a little bit, and you can see that my Lord of Sands actually is outperforming. Even my Desperate Doctor is doing more damage now than Skybreaker. And so this is sort of the decision you have to, I sort of have to decide like when to keep my units. And this is when I decided to get rid of my Soulbreaker, and so that I could potentially get the 2-star source. And so now I'm going up against the Wolf round. In the Wolf round, one of the things you want to do is put your tanky units in the second row from the front. And I actually put the God of War I sort of tuck them in on the bottom left there, and the weaker units go up top. So that way all of the wolves, they're essentially assassin types. They would go onto the God of War while the rest of the units focus on taking them down. And so after I sold the Soulbreaker, I decided to put in Soul Reaper as well, so I actually did get the Warlock bonus there. As I mentioned, it's not something that is most crucial in a Mage comp, but it does help. So Kira Axe is the one that you want to pair with, is the name of the item you want to pair with the shield there, which I already put on the God of War there. It's a really good item to get as well. And so now we have a really lucky turn there. So round 16, we were able to get our Thunder Spirit to 2-star, and that is really, really good. At 2 stars, he can actually deal quite a bit of damage, and that is one of the units where, as a 3-star unit, it's not necessary for you to get them to 3-star. So what's nice is once you get your Thunder Spirit to 2 stars, you don't have to worry about getting other pairs of him, and you can focus on other units instead, because he does pretty good damage output right there. And so now we're up against Thugs. We're in round 16, and our team is starting to come together with our power boost, mostly just from the Thunder Spirit even. Now, this team is not complete yet. I'm still looking for the other 2 mages to be on there. I'm looking for my Lord of Sand to be 2-star. And so right now what I've got is essentially a team that can steal some health, and they have a really low cooldown. So this is where I'm starting to put my pieces in, and one of the things I was considering is whether or not the Skybreaker was still useful. Now it still was third in terms of dealing damage, and so I probably should have kept him in one more round here, because I actually end up going up against a Feather Hunter build, with an armor reduction where you can see the opponent actually had an Evil Knight along with the Exorcist Ranger, so that also reduces my armor of my God of War there, and they were able to take me out pretty easily. So not sure if keeping Skybreaker in would have made any difference, but currently I'm still missing my Mage bonus, and I am missing the 2-star Laura Sands. But my goal here is to push to level 8 as fast as I can. Now I do have some extra goals, so I do decide to roll, and I do have my 2-star Desperate Doctor, but I'm still missing that Mage bonus, and so I decided to put the source in to get my 3 Mage damage in. And now in terms of the sort of where I'm putting my units there, I decided to put the Grand Herald in the bottom corner, because generally a lot of players would put their really important pieces that are fragile in the bottom corner as well. So this is where I could actually steal their ultimates, and in this case he would have actually used the Shining Dragon's ability. Now with the 3 Mage setup, my power spike actually took place. It actually increased a lot in the damage, and really I am increasing the damage of my Thunder Spirit by a lot. And so the goal for me, as I mentioned, is to get to level 9, 8, and then level 9 as fast as possible, because I want to increase the chances of me finding God of Thunder. God of Thunder is the unit that I'm ultimately looking for to complete this Divinity Mage composition, because it will reduce the overall cooldown of all of my units by 80%. And that essentially means if you can keep the mana going, your units will continuously use their ultimate skill, which is going to help you win the fight. And you might notice that I'm also keeping my Lord of Sands here. It's actually a really good unit that can provide you with a lot of support, because it has a really strong attack. So what it does is when it actually attacks, it will generate mana for itself, and if it has a low cooldown, then it will also continuously attack with its ultimate skill, which also stuns your unit. So it can also be a really good crowd control unit. And what I like generally about what I really like about the Laura Sands is I generally like to place him away from the rest of my units. So it accomplishes a couple of things. One, it can distract other enemies to try and attack there, and then when it gets attacked, the Laura Sands can then basically, use its attack to go back into the enemy lines, and then continuously do his attack there in a 3 Divinity setup. And also number 2 is by having him tucked away on the opposite corner, if I do get hit by something like Storm Shaman's Silence, it will actually be safely out of the way so that it could still do its attacks freely. So anyways, I have now gone to level 8, so I can put my Laura Sands in there at 2 stars, so there's another power spike there. And so I have a lot of items here, and I'm trying to decide on what I'm gonna do. And one of the things that I am looking for is a Storm Shaman, and I actually accidentally rolled away from there, so that was a mistake right there. I would have taken the Storm Shaman, and I would have gotten rid of the Desperate Doctor for sure, because the Storm Shaman is really, really critical and really useful in silencing multiple different types of units, including definitely the Mage players, but it can also silence hunter type units, like for example players that use Siren. Siren is a really useful hunter unit to really turn your units into stone, and you actually take extra damage from that. And so it is a really good unit to use, and therefore you'll want to silence it as well. Roll a couple more times here. I couldn't get the Storm Shaman again, and so I decided to start saving up my goals so that I could go to level 9. The idea here is if I can push to level 9 and hopefully find the God of Thunder, I still have more opportunity to get the Storm Shaman. So I'm still saving my units there. I'm trying to sort of get a sense and feel of what kind of units, what kind of items I'm going to get, so that I could potentially go for a more better items so that I can put for my other units. One of the things I'm considering is I also want to try to help my Laura Sands have more mana generation. So he actually benefits a lot from using a Magicka crystal, but I don't have a lot right now. I don't have a lot of Magicka crystals to go around, so I am definitely saving it. So I'm not using it as I'm not just putting it on any units that I see. Now I get really lucky here in round 8. Level 8. I was able to find a God of Thunder. And so it was really decision time on where do I put him in, and I actually ended up not having the time to put him in because I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide on which units to take down at the time, but it would have, looking back, it would have been a no-brainer, and it would have been either the Storm, it would have been the Desperate Doctor, and then potentially the Soul Reaper for sure. And so went through level 23, I was still able to win right there, but what you'll see next is that when I put in the God of Thunder, it really changes things. And so now one of the players, 2 players have been defeated, and I do get more items there. So I start thinking about looking at combining. But first, I wanted to make sure that I could put the right units in. And looking at the possibilities there, I decided I wanted to give more health to my God of War because I'm close to getting it to 3-star. And just kind of looking at some of the possibilities here, and one of the things that I start looking at is so the Claw Wand is also really good for Lord of Sand because he technically is my frontline attack unit, so I want to give him more health, and also I want him to be more immune to any skills there. And of course, once again, I did not put the God of War in there, but luckily I was still able to defeat the opponent right here. And we're in level 20, round 24 now, so we're going into yet another creep round. And we are doing really well economy-wise, and we're actually going to be able to get to round 9. Level 9 really easily there. So get my upgrade for the Grand Herald, but it actually isn't that big of a deal getting it to 2-star. It just means that it has a little bit more health. And so now we are in round 25, so it's a creep round, so I'm not concerned about taking out any units for the God of War. Kind of looking back and at the time I'm playing, definitely I would have put God of War in a lot sooner. It would have also guaranteed me much easier wins there. If I had lost any of those rounds, it would have definitely been because I did not put a God of War when I really got lucky and got him in level 8. So that's one thing that I definitely would have done differently. However, right now we're in a creep round, and with my economy, I knew that I could get to level 9, so I could put the God of War in there without sacrificing any existing units. And so at this point, we actually do have quite an abundance of really good units to go after. And so I finally do push to level 9 there. And with God of War placement, you want to put him in that middle tile, because what you don't want is to put him too far away because he doesn't have a great attack range. And with God of War, you also want to give him more mana generation items so that he could deal his damage quicker. And so let's take a look and see the difference it makes with the 3 Divinity units in there. So you can see how often my units are actually using its skill. You can see the Thunder Spirit, the Thunder Spirit was actually using the skill quite a bit. And you can also pay attention to the Laura Sands off in the corner attacking the backline. I'm up against a Mage player, and because of Laura Sands, I was able to get it to the back and take out those units so that I don't get taken out by their Mage attack. Because I that's the one sort of advantage I have there. And at this point, I'm thinking about the potential upgrades I could have. And so the unit I'm still missing is the Storm Shaman. And when I saw that I got another Laura Sands, then that's when I decided I want to try and see if I can get a 3-star Laura Sands just to see what kind of a difference it makes. Got also another unit for the Shiny Dragon for potentially getting to 3-star as well. I usually, whenever I roll, I always find a lot of Shiny Dragons, so I thought I would give it a try. And so, more items there, so I'm looking at what potentially I could get. And so it's going to be, skill damage for sure. I already have pretty good, good items to boost the armor and health of my God of War, and so now it's all about giving my my God of Thunder more damage based on its skills. And so we're around 27, and I'm doing well. We have, still 6 players remaining, but we are doing well health-wise. And so still just 1 God of War away from a 3-star, and I'm still looking for the Storm Shaman. Storm Shaman could actually be a level 9 unit. I would again take out the Desperate Doctor and put in a Storm Shaman, but it would be a good level 10 addition as well. I have pretty good economy, so it is not a bad idea to go with that. Now, unfortunately, if you are running this particular type of team, the thing to think about is to make sure you don't run the Dark Spirit, because you'll end up getting the Spirit bonus. And I bought it not thinking about it at first, but I can't actually put it into my build because it will kill the Divinity bonus because of the Spirit bonus there. So I got it thinking that I would potentially run that as a level 10 comp, but it actually isn't a team that you'll want to use. And now we're up against a another warrior mage build, and you can see again my Laura Sands is in the back taking out and distracting the units, while the God of Thunder basically, just took down the rest of the team with its skill. And because of the additional, skill damage boost, it was really, really effective. And so, we're doing good at this point. And so, the strategy at this point is to be patient. Like, one of the things I don't want to do is I don't want to end up using all of my gold unnecessarily, and we're in round 29, so that is basically another, there's going to be another round before the creep round, and so there's really no reason to really roll too much. And so you can see there I put my mana item in there as well, and this is when I finally realized I couldn't actually use the Dark Spirit, so I decided to finally sell him there. And so we're around 29, we're up against Thugs here, and again you can just see how effective this three Divinity Mage comp really is. And so just up against another, I'm going up against another mage player, but I can actually get off the skills faster, and so that's what makes the difference. And now I have a 2-star Storm Shaman, and we're up in round 30. I have over 50 gold, so I decided that after that round I was going to push to level 10. And so now I basically get the rest of my items, put them all into God of War, so that the goal here is to get it to 3-star, and then also get it to level 10 so I can put up the Storm Shaman. Storm Shaman is also a really, really good unit to have. It also deals magic damage whenever it casts its ultimate skill, and so when it silences the units, it also can then take out the opponent. Here I actually decide to craft the Cloud Halberd with the Kira Axe as well as the Lucky Coin, just because I haven't really tried using it as much. And looking at where it actually goes to, it increases evasion, and so I decided to put it on the Laura Sands so that it could attack, basically being a front line, and it could dodge some attacks. There's a 15% chance I can dodge attacks, and so that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted the Laura Sands to do a lot of work. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to what a Laura Sands does here. So it will jump to the back there, and it basically distracts the hunter units. And while it gets attacked, it essentially just goes in and starts attacking. So if you look at the top right corner, it's really going in and it's distracting both the Wind Ranger and the Shining Archer, and that was what allowed me to get more mana output so that I could actually take out the 100 units. And I also got the Orb of Refresh here, so this has just been a game of really good items and good composition here, but mostly I got them because other players have they had those good items and then they lost, so I was able to take advantage of that. Now I have I have my Laura Sands to 3-star, and I meant to actually click on the unit itself so that I could get the Laura Sands uncombined. One of the things you want to do if you wanted to get your units a 3-star and you have an egg there is you actually don't want to combine your unit without you don't want to use basically combine the unit to 3-star using all 3 units. You want to take advantage of an egg, so you want to use 2 eggs, and if I could get 4 of those units, then I could basically create 2 2-stars in that case. So it would have been a much more efficient way to get my 3-star there. And now I'm just one more Laura Sands away from a 3-star unit, so I was really trying to go for that, and so I decided to just roll all the way down to see if I can get it, and I do get that, and it was a good feeling there. So I decided to egg it, and now I have a 3-star Laura Sands that has some pretty good items there, and up against a lot of the opponents, because it's really tanky and it can deal really good attack, except it got silenced there, so you couldn't get its ultimate off. But watch this, it actually dodged an attack from the Tortalla Elder, so it survived there, and it basically went on its business. And despite both the Pirate Captain and also the Swordman attacking it, it still had more than half health remaining. So a 3-star a 3-star Laura Sands is really a good unit. It's really tanky and it deals a ton of damage. So I just decided to put more items on him so that it could also, it can deal more damage, and also it could be protected against magic damage. It has evasion, etc. And now we're down to, just the 2 players left. Round 34, so one more round before the creep round. And this is a dragon. This is basically another mage composition with human silence, and also with Storm Shaman there to silence the units. And so it did manage to silence my Laura Sands there, but my composition of this team is really quite strong. And so even with the addition of their Storm Shaman to silence my team there, it wasn't enough to take me down. And so we're now in Black Dragon King, and I think what I'm really rolling for right here is another God of Thunder. So I'm trying to see if I can get another God of Thunder, because the goal here is to get it to 2-star. That is sort of the final piece to the puzzle here. There's really no other pieces I need 3 stars. So this is basically, a really powerful team at this point. And so going up against the Black Dragon King, this really isn't an issue there. I can, I'm stunning him with the Desperate Doctor, and, basically just take it out really easily there. And get another Fish for Kira Axe and Teleport Dagger as sort of, the items there. And this is where I kind of think, okay, well, my opponent does have, it still has quite a bit of, it can still be anybody's game, and I didn't want to just assume that I have one there. And so you notice I actually put the Storm Shaman, I actually put the Teleport Dagger on my Storm Shaman. My thought process here is I wanted the Storm Shaman to be in the back to distract some of the units there, and so that I could actually cast my skill earlier to silence the the team there. It didn't actually work out for me this time. So he was prepared for my team to be on the right side there. The Storm Shaman wasn't effective and it got taken out early. But if you take a look at what's happening right now, I've got my Laura Sands still going strong. It still has enough health, and it was actually able to go toe-to-toe with this unit there. My God of War was really close to dying there, actually, but my Laura Sands was so tanky, it survived a lot of the hits, and it actually was able to take down the opponent, so that I maintained my win streak at this point, although I did lose against my opponent there on his screen. And so I'm looking at his positioning as well, and trying to think what I could do. And I wanted to avoid getting silenced, but that wasn't going to be easy because he has 6 human bonus right there, so he's got a lot of units to silence my Storm Shaman. And so I'm really thinking about what to do, and I decided to actually wait until the last second before I actually move my units. And this is where I put my Storm Shaman actually in the other side, so that I could try to take him out. But again, I got silenced in that case, and it didn't work out for me in this particular case. So it really has come down to really sort of a match of match of wits there. But really the MVP here has continued to be my Laura Sand that has kept me alive in my fights there. So my health isn't going down, and because of the health differential, as time goes on, it is going to be in my advantage. Now my opponent actually does have a really strong team, and you can see how long he's actually going up against me, but in the end I was able to win that round. And so now thinking about sort of like where he's positioning his teams right there, he actually got a 3-star werewolf. And so that is, like as time goes on, he's going to get stronger and stronger. His warrior units are actually really tanky as well. And so I have to think about what I'm going to do. And so this is where, I made a decision I was going to go behind the source. And so in the sort of like the last second, I basically swapped the position of my source and a Storm Shaman. So I get to the back this time, and I was able to actually use my skill from the Storm Shaman this time, so that I was able to take him out on this end. And that also worked out for me on my opponent's screen, so that I was able to defeat him and come up with a win with this team against a really strong opponent. So it was a really good game, really enjoyed it, and hopefully you've also enjoyed this sort of playthrough, and also sort of the commentary there. This was a really good team, really fun to use, and the MVP was totally my Laura Sands at 3-star there. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.